So let's go on to talk about performance appraisals. I believe that every single employee is due a performance appraisal. It is their right, and it is the time when they sit down and listen to you and really, really, really care about what you have to say, because normally they think it's going to affect their income, and it should. You are not obligated to give your people an annual increase, only if they have added something to your company and grown so that you think they're going to be worth more money next year than they are this year. If they were slow when they got there and they're still slow and you haven't gotten rid of them, well, don't give them more money, because they're no more valuable to you this year than they were last year, in the coming year. As a matter of fact, you'd probably be better off going to the outside and hiring somebody new who might be fast. So you do not reward people for longevity, in my opinion. Some companies do. If you've been there a year, you get this much. If you've been there 2 years, you get this much. I only ever reward people on performance. And this is very difficult for your employees at this level to understand, because most of them think you're automatically going to get some money. You are not in my company if you are not more valuable to me this year, coming year, than you were last year. And I come right out and tell them this, and tell them I'd be better off really going to the outside and find somebody who I think will be better next year than they are last year. So you want to go over each one of these categories. When you have a performance appraisal, it takes about an hour to give it to them, and it takes about 4 hours to prepare for it. And that's only if you've done a really good job of tracking your numbers over the past year. If you give a fluff, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, she's friendly and nice, comes to work most of the time, review, they aren't going to care what you say. They aren't going to listen to it, and they're never going to agree with the final result of it unless it's outstanding. You need to take the time to let these people know how they did over the last year. They need to review their performance. 5 is outstanding, 4 is excellent, 3 is very good, 2 is average, 1 is improvement required, and 0 is unacceptable. The first question is, what is the average volume of paid customer hours during the review period? What we're talking about this is, are they able to do the volume that you want? Perhaps you don't drive much at all and you're expecting 5.5 hours of cleaning time and a half an hour of drive time. Are they bringing in the volume of paid hours you want? I mean, they might be out there in the field for a long time and they're costing you a lot of money, but are they bringing you the money you're looking for? You should have parameters set for this. I had it because I had 4 field managers and I wanted them all scoring the same way. So if a person brought in 100% of the volume I was expecting on paid hours, they would be average, because that's what I am expecting. Less than that, it's a 1 or a 0. To become very good, they would probably have to bring in 5% above paid hours. So if I expected paid hours to be 30 hours a week and they brought in 31 or 31, they would probably get a very good. If they brought in 32, they'd get an excellent. If they brought in 33, they'd get an outstanding. Or, I can't remember what I did. It might be 2 points for the excellent and outstanding. But you have to have parameters. You have to give them to your field managers, or you have to follow them yourself, because this cannot be based on, oh yeah, I think she cleans a lot of houses. Oh no, I don't think she cleans very many. You have to look up the actual number of hours of cleaned houses in order to fill this out. That's why they take a long time to do, but that is why a cleaner never questions them. They realized why, because we went over every category and it was well documented. It wasn't just my gut reaction. It was factually documented. What is the efficiency of team based on the efficiency rate during review period? We wanted 133% efficiency, combobulated, I know, but 33% was how much they expected to drive a week, and it was just easier to go for 133%. So that would, of course, be my standard, my average, and I would work above that. So you go over each one. How is attendance of employee? I allotted 4 absences every 6-month anniversary period. So if in the previous year they had no absences, they were outstanding. If they had 2 absences, 1 per 6-month period, they would be excellent. If they had 2, they were very good. If they had 3, they were average. And if they had 4, it was really unacceptable in my book. So they wouldn't be out the door, but they need to know that their attendance needs some improvement. So if you're honest and you're well documented, you will be fine. Then you take up all the scores for each one. You add your 5. Let's say they got a 4 and a 3 and a 2. Then you'd add up 4 and 3 is 7 and 2 is 9. But you add up all the categories and you divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, excuse me. You divide by 17 and that gives them their overall ranking, which will either be, again, outstanding, excellent, very good, generally good, improvement required, or unacceptable. You sign it, you have them sign it, you ask them if they have any comments, and you move on. Then we get to the partner performance appraisal of a year. Very much more detailed. When you give this review to the people, I want you to read this first page because they need to understand that not everybody in your company is going to get an outstanding review. As a matter of fact, no more than 10% of the people in your company will. So if you have 5 people, that's a half a person. You need 10 people before somebody really gets an outstanding review. So they need to understand that if they get an excellent, they are in the top 30%, so if you have 5 people, 2 people will get an excellent. They need to get that. They need to understand you're not saying they're poor. You are saying you have standards of expectations and you only give it to those people who achieve it. And of course, you're going to raise your standards of expectation. If everybody is achieving it, you need to raise it. And I say that with a grain of salt because if your people are cleaning at 120% efficiency rate, maybe you're just lucky. I doubt that. So you want to read this to them so they understand that. Then, this review has several different categories: meeting major job responsibilities, meeting objectives, projects for the year. In all honesty, whatever a person gets under meeting major job responsibilities is probably what they will get for their overall review because it's all about meeting their major job responsibilities. What wraps into that is meeting objectives, knowledge of work, applying skills of management, etc. But you will answer each category. What is the average volume, again, of paid customers? What is the efficiency, again? How is the quality of the team? How effectively does employee control costs? Attendance and punctuality. You will add those all up. Then you'll give them a score in each category. You'll add them up. And if at the end they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there are 6 categories here. If they got 5s in all 6 categories, you'll get 30 points. You'll divide that by 6, and they will end up with a 5 category ranking, and you put that under meeting major job responsibilities. Then you go to meeting objectives and projects for the year. There are 4 categories there. You get a category ranking there. You'll do this for each category. At the end, you will add up the category rankings, and you will divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it will give them their overall ranking. This should go with a matrix that you have in your office for what percentage increase you give based upon their ranking. I would always make average whatever the cost of living is for that year. If it's 2% national cost of living, an average would be 2%. If it's a 3% cost of living increase, the average would be 3%. Then very good would be 4%, excellent would be 5%, and outstanding would be 6%. So if they're currently making $6 an hour, illegal, I know, but for easy calculating purposes, 6% of that is, well, I don't even know what that is, maybe 36 cents. But you will take whatever they make per hour, if you're paying them hourly, and you will multiply times that percentage. If they are paid a percentage, then you need to have percentages lined out, like maybe 0.01% would be generally good, 0.02% would be very good, until they actually, if they get an outstanding, they get a 0.5% increase. You have to work what will work in your company, but I do believe you have to give people something for being more valuable for you next year than they were last year. You're making more money off of them. You didn't have any training days. You need to share a little bit of that with them. Then you sign it, you have them sign it, or what I used to do, you ask them for employee feedback, and what I used to do was give them a copy of the review, tell them to bring it back signed with their comments on it, and then I will give them the original signed. Because I don't want to lose track of that review, but I would love to have their comments, and many people brought that review home and came back with comments on it. Of course, they were so proud if they got a good one to show it to their family members because they've never gotten that before. The team leader is exactly the same way, other than, of course, has supervising others. It's a little bit longer. So the next thing we're going to talk about is disciplinary action. Be careful with this, folks. Do not use a cannon when a pop gun would do. Don't immediately bring out the threat of verbal, written, probation, fire. Verbal, written, probation, fire. That is hunting, not fishing.